All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Khadijah Ali-Coleman. I am the co-founder of Black Family Home Educators and Scholars. I am so pleased today to introduce to you my next speaker, who is someone that I have had the privilege of knowing for a few years now. She and I are actually in the Washington, D.C. area together, and she's been such a role model regarding the practice of homeschooling. It's just such an honor to have her. Some basic things that I think you should know and be very impressed with is that not only is she a Black homeschooler, but she is the homeschooler of 7 children. I have not stuttered. 7 beautiful children, and out of those 7 who were all homeschooled, 1 is left, and all of these children, many of them adults now, have engaged in professions and experiences that range from college careers to careers that involve traveling the world. And so she may talk a little bit about that, but what she also is going to be sharing with us after she talks a little bit about her background is she's going to be answering one of our questions regarding barriers to access. And so without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to our guest, the fabulous, the creative and talented quilter, homeschooling mama, Kyna Clemons. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Ali-Coleman. It's a pleasure for me to be here.
Well, I am so glad. Can you tell us a little bit more? I did the really abbreviated version of your background, but I'd love for you to share with our audience some of your background relevant to homeschooling that you think is important for us to know.
Absolutely. I, as you mentioned, am a textile quilt artist and a homeschool educator in the Washington, D.C. area. And my husband and I, Baba G, as I like to call him, are co-founders of the Children of the Sun Afrocentric homeschool community. Together, my husband and I, Baba G, we've homeschooled our 7 children over a 20-year period. It's been a joy, a journey, and if I had to do it all over again, I would. I strongly advocate homeschooling for African American and African children. It's the best that we can do for our children if we are able to do that with our lifestyle. And so my signature Scraps of Africa quilting workshops are impacting the lives of people across the diaspora as people trace their family heritage through the quilting tradition. So I've been able to use quilting as an educational platform to teach children their African ancestry and their family heritage.
That is so amazing. And you've traveled all over the country, haven't you? And you've worked. Can you tell us who are some of the people that you've had the privilege of working with in collaboration, educators as well as researchers? I know I'm a fangirl of one person that I see you often with, Tony Browder, the famous archaeologist and historian.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have a very, very strong Pan-African homeschooling community across the diaspora. And I'm so excited to have made acquaintances with several very dynamic homeschool educators, authors, publishers. As you mentioned, Tony Browder is a phenomenal scholar, author, writer. His work in Kemet and all that he's uncovered about our history in Kemet in his archaeological digs is just phenomenal. We couldn't ask for more relevant information to really define and explain who we are on the historical timeline. Dr. Chika Kua is my mentor. He's had a profound impact on my life. He's a prolific scholar, professor at Georgia University and Clark University in Georgia. and his work is prolific, changing the lives of parent educators, teachers in the public school system, and the list could go on. Dr. Samari from Kamali Academy, his work, he was a pioneer in the homeschooling community years ago after being a public school teacher in Louisiana, and he decided to, after, he was not well received with some of his pedagogy, he decided to begin Kamali Academy and start homeschooling students there in Louisiana. So this has been going on for a while, and we have some trendsetters who have really paved the way for us. And I've seen a significant transformation in homeschooling and the Black homeschooling community in a relatively short time, just 7 years. And the transformation has been positive. It's been phenomenal for our children. And we're seeing the fruits of that work now, believe it or not, just 7 years later. And with COVID-19, we're going to see a continued dramatic transformation in how African-centered education is delivered to our children. And it's a phenomenal thing that's occurring, and I'm so excited to be a part of it.
So well said, because, and thank you so much for giving historical context, particularly when we think of homeschooling as being the space where we can really make those cultural connections for our children and really have the flexibility to determine what that looks like. I really appreciate you giving us some historical context that this isn't new. This is something that has been happening. And even for you to say that you've been homeschooling now for the past 20 years really, yes, really gives context for those who may be considering, is this something for them, for them to hear you say that not only is it possible, but this is something that now is a tradition. There's historical precedent to it. And so I really appreciate you sharing that about your history. So let's get to this question that you selected to respond to out of the 3 igniting questions that we have. And the question that I would like to ask you is, what do you consider are the barriers to access what you deem important for your practice as a Black homeschooling parent?
Well, that's a very good question. Thank you for posing that. I would say that in answer to that, one barrier has been African-centered curriculum. Curriculum where our children are, as Dr. Molifi Asante, who is the generator of Afrocentric education, defined as an education where our children can see themselves on the historical timeline as contributors, where they can see their ancestors prior to the Ma'afa as African builders of great world civilizations. And once we are able to provide that type of curriculum to our children and give them the resources where they can continue to dig deeper and uncover the hidden knowledge of our African history, heritage, and culture before the Ma'afa, then we will begin to see continued Black excellence, student achievement, and we'll continue to see Black excellence on the horizon for our children. We didn't always start off with Afrocentric education because we didn't really understand the need for it. We were going along with what was being given to us, what was being served to us. And it was only because I believe we were chosen by the divine spirit to get the revelation for our children, because we had an open mind and we had an open heart. And so Africans' education for our children is always a spiritual thing. It's not a religious thing. African children are spirit beings. And so any education that's going to serve our children is going to have to be rooted in spiritual concepts. For example, Ma'at. Ma'at is the ancient Kemetic concept of balance and order. The 7 virtues of Ma'at are truth, justice, propriety, harmony, balance, reciprocity, order. And so those underlying principles guiding our children, along with the Nguza Saba that was created by Dr. Malana Karinga as principles to guide the Black community. When we bring those into our children's life very early on from birth, because homeschooling begins at birth. And I gave it a new term, life schooling. In Kemet, where the greatest, one of the greatest civilizations ever were African people, and we have the Medu-Neter, which tells us the stories of their lives. It was just expected that excellence in education would be the norm, and excellence in life, and balance and order and ma'at. And it wasn't until after the Ma'afa that, all of this got just totally out of order. So we have to get back to that. And that's where I think we will be able to break down some of the barriers for access for our homeschooling, Black homeschooling families. I hope I answered your question.
You did. You answered it very. You answered it very.
Tangent.
No tangent. You answered it very thoroughly and very holistically, and so I appreciate so much for what you shared with us today, and I'm again very grateful that you were here with us as part of this inaugural teach-in. And I just want you to be prepared, because I think that people are going to be reaching out when they hear this wisdom that you have to share. Thank you so much, Clemons, Mama Kyna.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Oh, what did you say?
I wanted to just let you know also to be on the lookout, because you were one of our early supporters. Your daughter is a child of the Sun. She's part of our co-op. Didn't you guys come to a couple of our?
Yes, we did. I can't believe it. It seems like it was yesterday, but it was years ago.
It was, and 6 years, as a matter of fact. And on July 1st, we're publishing the Children of the Sun African-centered, classical African-centered homeschool curriculum and study guide. I'm so excited.
I am so proud.
You were a beta tester, I believe. You used it. I think you guys used it.
We may have taken a look at it. That is so exciting. Do you have a date?
Absolutely. We're rolling it out, God willing, July 1st. Get ready.
Yay! So by the time that our teaching participants see this, it will be past July 1st. So all of the information should be, when they access this conversation, they'll be able to get a link to your curriculum. So this is the opportunity for them to check that out. I'm so happy for you.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the bin, and I would be negligent to not give a shout out to Mama Deborah Watkins, who was the founder of a bin, is now Director of Strategic Partnerships, and founder emeritus. So she's moved on, but she's still with a bin doing phenomenal things, even bigger things. So I want you to be on the lookout for what a bin is doing.
That's wonderful.
And we have some exciting things planned for the weeks ahead. So I'm going to just say, stay tuned.
So we're going to include links to everything that you've mentioned with your profile, so that folks can be able to support you, to purchase that curriculum, and to find out more about upcoming conferences that ABIN is offering. But also, hopefully there's some link. Do you have a personal website that has your tours, where you're going to be with your quilting seminars and the homeschooling work that you do for families and for scholars?
That's coming.
Okay.
the Sun, we have two websites that are going to be up and running on July 1st. So we'll have those links for you. But right now, my presence has primarily been on Facebook
Okay.
at the Children of the Sun Facebook page, which is a very good resource for information about homeschooling. And then we also have the Black Literary Awareness for Cultural Knowledge Facebook page, which is a repository of information. I manage that page. And
Have
then,
you
of course,
added me? I don't think I'm part of that page. I need
I'll
to.
add you, yes, because it is a repository. Anything you want to know or need to know about people in the diaspora, African history, heritage, and culture is there.
Okay.
Literary awareness, because Black Literary Awareness for Cultural Knowledge is the forerunner to Children of the Sun. We created Black Literary Awareness for Cultural Knowledge to bring suburban children and city children together so that they discover their African history, heritage, and culture. And it was a phenomenal experience. And out of that experience, Children of the Sun was birthed.
Wonderful. And I think what a wonderful way to close. So all of those links to all of your information will be up by July 20th, which is the first day of our teaching for folks to access. And I just want to thank you again for being with us.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be a part of the teaching. Yes.
Yay! All right, and thank you. Thank you, viewer, for listening. Hopefully, this conversation will be helpful when we convene on Friday to discuss many of the topics, some of the topics, or maybe for you, one of the topics that you found interesting and compelling enough to engage in with us during this teaching. Thank you for listening, and please check out all of the other speakers that we have during this teaching, as well as the resources that are posted for your education and for your interest. Thank you so much.